sets free. Strong and mighty, King of kings. Your name is victory. Your name is peace. We cry Jesus, name above all names. Savior, ruler of everything. Nobody like you, Lord. Nobody greater. Nobody stronger. Nobody wiser. Strong and mighty, great defender. Nobody stronger, nobody wiser. We give you glory, lover of my soul. There is no other name with all power. No other name greater than yours. Nobody wiser. Jesus, strong and mighty, great defender. Nobody stronger.
On October 28, 2025, Hurricane Melissa devastated Jamaica. But your government is mobilizing, reaching every community, delivering relief, and rebuilding together. The time by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:30 p.m. Family Time.
All right, good evening and welcome to everyone on Love 101 FM, Facebook and YouTube Live. This is Family Time. Family Time is about your issues, your relationships. It's about your at-home family, your community family, and your global family. Family Time is produced by Family Life Ministries, and our aim is to enable healthy families, which will lead to healthy nations. So stay with us and please connect with us via all our platforms. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Family Life Ministries-FLMJA, and on Instagram, keep up with what's happening at simply FLMJA. Now, while Family Time is a family program, we'd like to caution that it may on odd occasion touch on what some may consider mature subject matters. Your discretion is advised. I'm Crystal Daly Thompson. A baby is born, and of course everyone is checking on the baby. But we are asking, what about the mommy? There's a name being used more often now for that early season after birth, the fourth trimester. We want to talk honestly and gently about that season, what women experience, what families often misunderstand, and how we can do better at showing care, patience, and grace. Although it can be a part of the fourth trimester experience, this is not about postpartum depression. The fourth trimester is a much bigger and wider an issue. And as we have that discussion, we'd like you to share something with us. What did you wish people had told you about after delivery? Send your answers via WhatsApp text and WhatsApp voice notes to 876-997-3125. Try to keep those voice notes to no longer than 30 seconds. And you can also call our studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328. You can watch us and comment live on Love 101 FM Facebook and Love 101 FM YouTube. Our conversations are about faith, family, and how we live out our beliefs with love. We'll be right back. This is Family Time.
From classrooms to communities, safeguarding information keeps citizens safe, strengthens national resilience, empowers youth, and secures peace for the Jamaican society. On the next Campus Connection, we'll be focusing on how youth can take control of their data. Join us as Data Protection Officer from the Ministry of National Security and Peace, Ms. Tammy Jo McLaughlin, alongside St. Catherine High School Students' Council President, Ms. Kazari White, and Vice President of the Interschool Christian Fellowship, ISCF, Mr. Leandre Mary King explore how youth can take control of their data. And don't miss our honor roll interview with Miss Melanie Loney, Senior Prefect at Magatee High School. Campus Connection is proudly brought to you by Live Good Anti-Violence Campaign from the Ministry of National Security and Peace, Jamaica's partner in advancing progress and building peace. Tune in on Tuesday, January 27 at 5:30 p.m. on Love 101, the family station.
Things are going on from campus. Come on, let me walk one. Campus Connect.
All right, welcome back to all our listeners to Family Time on Love 101 FM, YouTube, and Facebook. And welcome to you all. Remember to answer our question. What did you wish people had told you about life after delivery? WhatsApp, text, and voice notes to 876-997-3125. Try to keep those voice notes to no longer than 30 seconds, and you can also call our studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328. You can also watch us and comment live on Love 101 FM Facebook and Love 101 FM YouTube. This isn't just about illness or depression. It's about adjustment, support, exhaustion, identity, faith, and family, and how women are often expected to be strong and bounce back far too quickly. So, who is in the house? We have Dr. Maya Clark Kataya, Assistant Professor at New York University. That's Rory Myers College of Nursing and Grossman School of Medicine. And we also have Dr. Jamil Natalon Ramos. She's, of course, the women's health clinician. She's a women's health clinician, educator, and advocate. And we also have Carrie Heron, a multifaceted personality, but today she's here as a mommy. Our doctors are also mommies. So we're going to hear from the professional side and from the real side, living it. So it's going to be rich, it's going to be intense, it's going to be factual. Ladies, welcome and good afternoon.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
Indeed. So let us talk, let's kind of delve into it a little bit more. Welcoming a child is not a moment, it's a journey. And no one should have to walk that early part alone. But first, let's try to understand what this fourth trimester is. What is it? What is it all about, and why it matters, especially with a brand new mother? Any of you could go ahead.
Jamil, I'm let
Can you hear me?
So I'm actually a women's health nurse practitioner, and the patients that I do see are actually all postpartum patients. So I just spent Snowmageddon at the hospital this past weekend, seeing all the patients who are had their babies. I think there's so much concentration on labor and birth because it's exciting. There's so many action. There's all these things happening. But the postpartum period, it is for a very long time. So it is this transition to motherhood and parenthood that doesn't just last 2 hours or 4 hours, but it is a whole transition of your being. Your body is going through physical transition, hormones transition, mental transition, physical, emotional, spiritual transition. So I really love this time with my patients, really emphasizing that the care for themselves is so important.
Awesome. Dr. Kataya, you want to chime in there?
Yes. So I'm coming from a personal side. I do not do women's health. I typically do surgical care, but I do think that Jamil is right that it is sort of all encompassing, and there's so many things that I wish I had known. I think that there's so many expectations on us as women and mothers that we often forget to take care of ourselves, or we don't talk about what this period is like, more importantly. And so we're ill prepared, and you know all the things about a birth plan and are you breastfeeding? Are you not breastfeeding? Are you swaddling? Are you not swaddling? Is the baby co-sleeping? Is the baby not co-sleeping? But there's really not a lot of attention to what that change in your life is going to be like. So I'm glad that we're having this conversation, and I hope that the listeners have an opportunity to ask some questions.
Certainly, certainly. And Carrie, we're going to certainly hear from you as well, from your perspective as a mom. But I want to, before we ask you, Carrie, to share, I want to ask about the healing period. Dr. Ramos, you said that it's a very long time. I've never had a child before, but we've been told that, after having a child, the mother has a wound the size of a dinner plate. And, it takes a time for that wound to heal. Do you think the time that is given to women for maternity leave is sufficient?
Are you asking Carrie?
You.
You.
Oh, me.
Yes, but I'm going to get back to Carrie so she can share.
Sure. Yeah. We definitely, in the United States, we do not have paid maternity leave like many other countries do. Our neighboring Canadians have at least a year or two between the parents to share for paid maternity leave. For us, if you don't have vacation or sick time, you don't get to have leave. And I think about those parents and those mothers who maybe not work a salary job, and that are have this pressure to go back to work because they're not getting paid while they're spending the time with their new baby. There's definitely a lot of pressure. When I see patients, the first thing that they ask is, "Are you here to see me, or are you here to see the baby?" And I focus on them, look them straight in the eye, and I go, "I am here just for you. And I'm here to ask you how you're doing, how you're eating, how's your pain? How, are you going to the bathroom okay?" It's all about you. When I ask them about how are you eating, they'll say, "Oh, I'm breastfeeding okay." And I'm like, no, no, no. I'm asking about how you are eating, not how the baby's eating. And I think it takes them aback a little bit that there's someone that's specifically focused on them, because I'm sure all the texts that they're getting, all the phone calls, all the visitors are all about the baby.
All about the baby. So the emotional adjustment is a heavy one for them. And based on what you're saying to me, it's as though mothers neglect themselves because they know, even after going through that long labor, they're focused. No, I have a duty. I need to breastfeed. And so they neglect themselves. They neglect self-care. So Carrie, this is where you come in. We want to hear from you. How was it for you when you first gave birth? And how was the maternal leave for you? Do you think it was sufficient? What would you do differently?
So I was in Jamaica, and sorry, I was not in Jamaica. Maybe I want to be in Jamaica, but I actually gave birth in Dubai, and
Ooh, wow.
and one of the smartest things I ever did was I flew my mother over. So she had arrived some 2 weeks prior to when we were expected to have a baby.
Yes.
He came a little late, so it kind of robbed me of the time that I would have had, to help afterwards. He wanted to stay with mama. And that was the most critical thing because it allowed me to have her there. And I was an expat in a foreign country. I mean, only my husband at the time and my baby in my belly were family. So yes, I had friends and so on, but everybody had their own lives. So it was really important that I had the support of my mother, and I ended up having a C-section, which was not planned. It was not the unmedicated natural birth that I had planned according to my birth plan, and I was supposed to do all things squatting, and my baby will come at the perfect time, and my baby and I can no. I had an emergency C-section, and that meant that I needed more support postpartum than I would even have known prior. And having my mother there was very important because I couldn't even lift the baby when I was lying flat on the bed. I would have to put the baby in my lap because there's no core strength. Everything is just really brought down to zero. And even in terms of walking with the baby in the mornings and the kind of care that he would need, she was able to supplement. But the most important thing that she did for me was she said, I'm taking care of you so that you can take care of your baby.
Awesome. We're going to delve more into that, and we're going to hear from our two doctors about, the physical challenges, because you're saying no core strength, but we're almost on a break, and I'd like to give my listeners a bit of a reminder here. Now, listeners, remember, we want to hear from you. What did you wish people had told you about life and delivery? We're looking forward to what you have to say. Send your answers via WhatsApp, text, and voice notes to 876-997-3125. Try to keep those voice notes to no longer than 30 seconds. And you can also call our studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328. Watch us and comment live on Love 101 FM Facebook and Love 101 FM YouTube.
This is Love 101 FM, the family station. It's 5:45.
Project Rock, we're rocking with that. Project Rebuild, overall and construct. The security force, yeah, we're looking at that. Better surroundings for a better state of mind. New vehicle mobilization, help secure our nation. Investing in facilities for modernization. It's rehabilitation, relieving frustration. Not just for the fools, but for the citizens, them same one. Project Rock.
Building today for a safer tomorrow. A message from the Ministry of National Security and Peace.
It's time to elevate. Get ready for the Woman Ignite Success Summit 2026, Saturday, January 31, Jamaica, Pegasus, Kingston. One full day of dynamic worship and powerful conversations on restoring your mental health, elevating your wealth, business, career, families, and so much more. Featuring from LA, Apostle Stephanie Okafor, mental health expert Brittany Noel, Apostle Mary Wildish, Pastor Sarah Cowan, Prophetess Sarah Smith, and so much more. Woman Ignite Success Summit 2026, January 31. Get tickets at womanigniteja.com. Powered by Woman Ignite Foundation, One Group, and other partners.
Clean hands are good for your health. In the wake of Hurricane Melissa, protecting your health includes a simple act: washing your hands. Use soap and safe water to remove dirt and germs after cleaning, before eating, and after using the toilet. If clean water is limited, use hand sanitizer with at least 60% alcohol. Remember, clean hands stop the spread of disease and help to keep families safe. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
All right, listeners, welcome back. Have you responded to our special request? What did you wish people had told you about life after delivery? Give us a call, send a text, or leave a message. Our topic this week is the fourth trimester on becoming a mommy. After the excitement of childbirth, many women discover that the real adjustment begins at home, with tired bodies, shifting emotions, and days that don't always look the way they imagined. But what does that really look like? We were hearing from our guest, Carrie, the challenges, the physical challenges that she encountered, and we want to continue on that discussion. Of course, we will rely on our two doctors who are here, Dr. Kataya and Dr. Ramos, to give us further insight on what is really happening to the body. What is really happening to the body? So, Carrie, when we went on our break, you spoke about not being able to even put the baby on your stomach because, you had no feeling there, no strength really. So either one of you docs can jump in and tell us really what happens to the body after delivery, whether by vaginal birth or through via C-section.
So not having that core strength is very common to experience, especially after a C-section. sometimes patients go through what we call a diastasis recti, which is a separation of the abdominal muscle, just because of the growing baby inside their belly. And so it takes a little bit of time for that to kind of heal back together. Sometimes we even need physical therapy postpartum in order to help heal that muscles together. And so after a C-section, which is major abdominal surgery, you are in a lot of pain from the surgery itself. And even if you had a vaginal delivery, there's also that loss of that core strength in the first few days. It takes a little bit of time for all of that to heal back.
Yes. So when you talk about time, what time are we looking at?
So I try not to tell a patient a specific timing because when I was going through my own postpartum healing, the whole time before I had my first children, I thought, we were telling our patients 4 to 6 weeks, this magical number that by 6 weeks everything will be magically better. And I got to 6 weeks and I said to myself, oh my goodness, I lied to every patient because I'm at 6 weeks and I don't feel back to where I was pre-pregnancy. So now what I tell patients is that it's a gradual healing process and that it's not a light switch. It's not an on and off that by 6 weeks, ta-da, everything is better. So I set their expectations very low and I say to them, ask yourself, are you better than yesterday? Are you feeling better? Are you improving today better than yesterday? So I think that helps with, with the pressure that society puts on our patients with snapping back. But I tell them this is a rebuilding period. It's not a snapback period, but it's a rebuilding period of your body.
Excellent. And you seem to be a doctor that is so in touch and caring. Here in Jamaica, a lot of our mothers complain about nurses being difficult, harsh. And we've heard many cases where there has been maternal deaths, even though the maternal death rate is not as high, but we have had some cases that are cause for alarm. So I'm really happy for this conversation. So listeners and persons who have not yet given birth can understand how serious it is and the strain that this exercise has on the body. You're bringing a whole human being into the world. It is indeed a very, very taxing experience on the body. And so I want to ask you, Dr. Kataya, about the changes, the hormonal changes in the body. What role does the hormone play in getting the female body back in balance? What does that look like when it does, and what does it look like when it is off balance after delivery?
I can talk a whole lot about what it looks like when it's out of balance. But I think that, one of the things that's really important for us to recognize is that after delivery, your body does go through a shift, right? The hormones go from doing one thing to doing something else. You have excess hormones, you have not enough hormones in some arenas. And what that means then is that you emotionally do not feel yourself and your body physically is not recovering the way it typically does. So I always like to tell people to think about that postpartum period. And I wish someone had told me, especially immediately postpartum, you almost feel like you're grieving, like you've lost something and you're very emotional in that way. But your body physically is also recovering, and it relies on a variety of hormones to do that. And so taking care of yourself to allow that to happen is imperative, and not, to Jamil's point, not expecting that, they said at 4 weeks, I was going to be back to X, Y, and Z. Sure, that may happen, but for some of us, it doesn't happen. Maybe your muscles aren't responding the way they typically do. Maybe you haven't bounced back the way that some folks, family members, friends might have. Just recognizing that everyone's hormones are different. For me in particular, I've gone through various levels of changes in hormones at this point at 43
Yes.
years of age. So I think that really understanding how that might impact you as an individual and just really sitting with that,
Yeah.
take time, giving yourself some grace,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and having a conversation with your provider about it. You know,
Yeah.
letting
Yeah.
your provider know what you're going through at the time.
Yes. So the mental state, we want to talk about that because the mental state, and Carrie, I see where you're nodding here, and I'm gonna allow you to share on that just after we listen to a recording where we have one of our special virtual guests who submitted a recording of her real experience having given birth. Her name is Thera.
What I remember about my fourth trimester was first the overwhelming exhaustion that came from having to breastfeed, every 2 hours or so. The other problem that I recall too was having preeclampsia, which kicked in just about a week after delivery and was quite severe. I had very high blood pressure, which was not very responsive to medication. So I started out with one couple of days of medication, no response, and I was put on one drug and then another drug layered on. And then eventually I was told, this is related to the 6-week postpartum period. You're going to have to stay on these meds till your hormones settle out. Unfortunately, then I also developed a severe allergic reaction to one of those drugs, which took almost 4 months to resolve. So it can be really a challenging period between what's going on physically and, of course, adapting to this other little human that you have to do everything for at that stage, and trying to be mindful of caring for yourself and any potential health issues that you may develop during that period.
All right. Wow. Very important. Heavy on the self-care there. Very heavy on the self-care. I'm noting what you mentioned about the preeclampsia. I've been reading, as you know, I'm not yet with child, so I've been learning and gleaning and trying to just understand this natural process that some of us females will go through, because not all of us will have the chance, unfortunately, to be mothers. But preeclampsia, hemorrhaging, other kinds of complications. I had a friend who died 2 years ago after giving birth to twins, and she apparently had a blood clot. So there are complications that can be had during the pregnancy and after the pregnancy. And docs, I want you to speak to that just after we hear what Carrie went through emotionally and psychologically after giving birth. All right, Carrie, go ahead.
I think there's also what needs to be said is the whole change of identity. For however long you've been alive, you've known yourself as who you were, but then there's a whole human being who is looking to you for absolutely everything, and everything changes. And you think you're prepared with all the books, especially as a first-time mother. You read everything, what to expect when you're expecting. You have everything planned down. You have doulas. You have everybody. But there's nothing that can compare to the actual process of giving birth and that identity shift that comes quickly, and having to adjust to even your body as well, because breasts were what were the breasts for before? Maybe some sort of, appendage to show, to put, whatever, and also for intimate relations with your partner. And then, but there's a child who's now even on the breast, and so, but that's kind of warped, because this is something that was supposed to be something that's intimate, but it's intimate in a different kind of platonic kind of way, and shifting between when the baby is latching and when the husband is latching. Not latching, but you get the point.
I get the point.
And all of those things. And so it really does take a huge adjustment. And we don't necessarily have enough spaces to talk about that, and especially for professional women who have had careers for a very long time, and things have been different, and then everything changes, and then you are expected to really adjust to that. So the emotional toll can be very, very big, so much so that many relationships will actually be dismantled in this period, because even what each partner requires of the other might change. The husband may see the wife shifting completely to attention to the point where he no longer exists, and many men just can't handle that.
I want you to hold that point, because you're getting into some things there, Carrie. We are up on the break, and you have been hearing from us on what did you wish. We want you to tell us, what did you wish people had told you about life after delivery? This is Family Time. We'll be right back.
Jamaica, I make we enjoy life, but we feel safe at night. Jamaica, stop the killing and give up the guns. Just live good now.
The time brought to you by the Ministry of National Security and Peace.
Thanks for stopping by. I'm on Love 101.
See the face, but not the heart. Those who want to do you wrong. Those so many times.
Bless up. This is Christopher Martin. Human trafficking is a crime. Let's unite to end human trafficking. Be wise, open your eyes, spot them, stop them, and report them.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
No shadow at the dark. No shadow at the dark.
Need to pass your CSEC CAPE exams to get that dream job or to qualify for university? Then Distinction College is the school for you. We have locations in Kingston, Spanish Town, St. Elizabeth, and Ocho Rios. Start day, evening, and Saturday classes this coming term and sit CSEC CAPE exams for January's resit or May, June. Maths, law, science, English. We have the lowest school fees. Register before the end of the month and win an entire term free. Call us at 354-8560.
Welcome back to all our listeners. The time is 6:01. You are tuned to Love 101. This is Family Time. Family Time is brought to you by Family Life Ministries. Family Life Ministries provides counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. Let's get a word from Reverend Mike. Word to Flesh Moments with Reverend Mike.
Psalm 61 verse 2. From the end of the earth, I call to you, O God, when my heart is overwhelmed and weak. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Postpartum stories reveal that life after childbirth is either a mix of profound joy and intense physical recovery, or significant mental and physical health struggles like depression, anxiety, and extreme exhaustion. Should you fall into the latter category, here's what we suggest you do. Number 1, concentrate on your physical healing. Ensure your meals are healthy and nutritionally complete. Number 2, establish feeding routines for your baby. Keep baby as close to you as possible as you help them adjust to life outside of your womb. Number 3, be careful not to become sleep deprived. This is not the time to binge watch TV series or movies. Number 4, remember, emotional changes and postpartum mood shifts are common. So cry out to God spiritually and reach out to your spouse or other family members physically for support with household issues and survival help. I'm Reverend Mike from Fellowship Tabernacle, and we just had a WTF moment.
All right, that was Reverend Mike. Thank you so very much, Reverend Mike, for that WTF moment. When a baby arrives, it doesn't just change one life, it changes the entire household. What happens beyond the mother and how the fourth trimester affects marriage, relationships, and family dynamics. That's what we're discussing and unpacking here this afternoon. So before we went to that break, we were hearing from Carrie on the emotional and psychological changes and all the issues around identity. And Carrie, you're saying no, the adjustment to what your body now represents. You're feeding from your breasts, you're nurturing, you're producing milk, you're doing all of these strange things, but I don't remember who said something earlier where you said that you can help me to remember who said it, that you feel like something has left you, has been taken from you. And I noted that in my mind because I've been seeing some videos online and so on where they talk about after a female gives birth, there is a phase, or not all persons go through it, but where it's as though she's in a daze. She's zoned out. It's like a detachment kind of thing. And you hear the narrator of the video saying, I had to get her back. I had to say, center yourself, focus, come back, honey, get back. So what is that? What happens there? What is that? A trauma response? What is that that some mothers experience?
I think they might have been talking about postpartum depression.
That's immediately after the baby comes out, depression can hit immediately like that.
Correct. And to that conversation you were having before, Jamil, jump in if I'm getting this wrong because I'm not women's health. But it does have something to do with those hormones, and I think that it can be for a lot of us surprising when you experience that moment where you're feeling very tired, you're feeling very down, you're not connecting maybe with the newborn, you're not connecting with your partner, and that's not intentional. It's not because of something that you're doing or something that they're doing. It's really related to an organic process. I'm assuming that's very much what that was talking about, and how little we talk about that as people, but as people of color.
Yes.
How we rely on our partners to engage when we're having those issues, and to what society expects us to do. I mean, as Jamil was talking about going back to work, I feel like the expectation is that I'm going to breastfeed, carry a baby, work full time, make dinner for my partner, wash laundry, clean the house, do all these things, and my body is just trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do with this human that was on the inside of me not too long ago that I'm now nurturing on the outside. And so I think I'm assuming that's what they were talking about, is the postpartum depression piece, but recognizing that there are so many things that happen to us as birthing people and individuals, to Carrie's point, where I wouldn't say you lose who you are, but you definitely change who you are.
Yes.
And no one really talks about.
Yes. So on the point of changing who you are, I've had friends who say to me, and who are married, of course, and they've said to me, this almost having the baby almost took a toll on our marriage. And they had to be very deliberate about, how they dealt with a number of things, even sought counseling and so on. What kind of advice would you give to a new mother who is a wife?
I would like to talk about, what I've done based on what my own experience. I talk to the husbands primarily when it comes on to this, because I think they also need to get their expectations correct, because for the most part, the men have felt, and their world has revolved around them. Your wife revolves around you, your mother did, and so on and so forth. And so they have to understand from before, to be prepped to understand that their role they have to manage their own expectations.
Right.
It cannot be upon the mother to deal with that. She has enough going on on as it is. And there's something that happens because we're the ones who birth the children. So we have a greater responsibility to the point where if 5 babies are crying, you can literally feel it in your womb, in your belly when yours is crying. You can differentiate your baby's cry. We have such a deep connection with our children. And so men need more preparation prior to delivery, and not just about the actual delivery, but what is expected of them and how they can support their mothers, the mothers of their babies after postpartum. Because the more active a man is supporting in terms of physical support, in terms of being there, in terms of emotional support, in terms of helping with meals and all the other care of the baby, then the greater capacity the mother has to heal, because we are sleep deprived. And when women are sleep deprived, you cannot tell anybody to be reasonable, because mix that with the hormones and all that other chaos. And so the men just have to step up more. They are the ones that have reasonable responses because their hormones are not all over the place. So they have to step up.
Yes, yes. All right. So also to the single mothers, because this is life, it is real. So not all of us will conceive in marriage, though we wish that that is the ideal for most. But what kind of advice would we give to the single mother who does not have a father around to coordinate sleep time with and all of that? How should she try to pool her resources and her community to help her?
I think being open to help, and they may not be in a partnered relationship, but perhaps they can be part of a mother's group or a parents group. I've heard of single mothers having a meal train with their friends, so their friends providing meals for each day while they recover. I know for me, it was so helpful to also have even my coworkers. I had a Korean nurse that brought me myeokguk, which is a Korean soup that helps with breastfeeding and postpartum. So I used to say, no, thank you. It's okay. Like, I don't want to be inconveniencing anybody. But postpartum, I was like, yes, please. Thank you so much. I will receive your gift. Thank you very much. And then reciprocating that for friends and colleagues when it was their turn, it was my turn to be able to serve them, whether if they had a baby or maybe they just needed me in another capacity. But really building that village is so important. And being able to rely, partnered or not, I still have my mom's group that I rely on. We go and try to make an appointment with each other each month, just us, and we call it our non-book book club, where we don't read books, but we just meet and talk about anything and everything, without feeling guilty if we can't make it or if we have to reschedule. So building that village is really important, not just for you, but also for your children.
Awesome.
I would say that I'm gonna try not to get emotional about it, but Jamil was my village, so I did not know what I was doing when I got pregnant with my first. And she and I were office neighbors. Her office was right next door to mine, and I would go to her. I would come to her and be like, "What's this? My stomach hurts," and she'd be like, "Oh, that's Braxton Hicks." So I will definitely co-sign her. Find those people, talk to those people, have the conversations with your friends. Someone's experienced it. Someone's willing to jump in and help out. You have more resources than you think, and you're not alone. And if you don't ask, you'll never know. So
Yes.
be vulnerable in that moment, because otherwise what's out there, the possibility of being really alone is far worse.
Yes. I really want to see what we can get in before we head into our final break. So we're almost going to be heading into the final 15 minutes of the show, but for the 2 minutes that we have before the break, how prepared can a mother be, or what are the things she should do before she gives birth, and how will it help her after she gives birth?
Janelle, do you want to take that one? Because you're an expert there.
So I think the emotional preparation is, is key. And I think I heard you guys say about planning and having a birth plan and having expectations. And it really plays a big role when in the postpartum period, if you do not get all the things that were on your checklist. And there is this kind of dissonance that happens where moms feel like because they didn't check all the boxes of their expectations, now they feel like they failed somehow because they didn't have their natural birth and they ended up with a C-section, that they were less than. So the time that I have with my patients, I really try to emphasize the fact that you are strong and healthy and you have a strong and healthy infant in front of you, and that your body did what it's supposed to do. So I think that emotional preparation we don't talk enough about. We prepare for the crib and the car seat and all those things. But the emotional preparation definitely is something that I wish that I knew before I had a baby.
All right, so we're now up on the break. We're heading into our final break. So, listeners, you have been listening to us as we unpack the topic, the fourth trimester on becoming a mommy. And we do have a voice note from one of our listeners. We're going to listen to that after we return from this break. This is Family Time.
This is Love 101 FM, the family station. It's 6:15.
We have to protect the woman and the youths now. Elderly in a fear them get shoot down. You me tired if me tell you not the truth now. This is what we have to do now. Jamaica live good, yeah. I make we enjoy life. What we feel safe at night. Jamaica live good.
A message from the Ministry of National Security and Peace.
Following the passage of Hurricane Melissa, Jamaicans are urged to take precautions to prevent leptospirosis, a disease spread through contact with water, soil, or food contaminated by the urine of infected animals. Remember, avoid swimming, wading, or playing in floodwaters or any water that may have resulted from flooding. Avoid consuming food that may have been contaminated with floodwater or animal urine. Wear protective clothing and footwear when working or walking in areas that may be contaminated. And visit the nearest health center immediately if you experience fever, chills, muscle pain, or other flu-like symptoms. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Yes, welcome back, listeners. You are tuned to Love 101. This is Family Time brought to you by Family Life Ministries. FLM provides counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. Remember, you can tune into the program via the Love 101 Facebook page and YouTube channels. And welcome back to our discussion, the fourth trimester on becoming a mommy. For many families, faith is a source of strength, especially in seasons of change. Before we conclude, we need to look at the role of faith, grace, and community during the fourth trimester. Still here to help us through this part of the program are Dr. Maya Clark Kutaya, Assistant Professor, NYU Rory Myers College of Nursing and Grossman School of Medicine, and also Dr. Jamil Nagtalon Ramos, Women's Health Clinician, educator and advocate, and Carrie Heron, a multifaceted personality, but today she's here as a mommy. Our doctors are also mommies, as we said earlier, and you have been hearing them share on their own experiences. Now, before we went to the break, we were informed by studio that we have a voice note. Let's hear.
What nobody told me was to get enough rest. And even though I sort of knew that I needed rest, I just thought I could have managed after having my last son. I washed, I tried to do everything, including taking care of the baby. But then my blood pressure went up to 170 over 130, and I felt I was getting a stroke. So I called my colleagues, and my son's godfather is an obstetrician, and he sent some medication, and I had to tell my husband at the time get some help. So my first sister-in-laws came and she was the one who did the housework and everything. And I just focused on the baby. And ever since, because I'm a public health nurse, ever since, and whatever advice I give my clients is basically some of the things I've experienced. So when the woman came to clinic or come to clinic, I always advise them get some help, get some home help, arrange home help from before you actually have that baby, because you're gonna need it, even if it's in the day, so you can get some rest. Get home help, which is very, very critical, because when a woman who have had a baby is not resting, it sends them through the roof. It can send them into depression, into postpartum depression, into puerperal psychosis. People actually go crazy, after having babies. And if you have home help and support, that is very, very important. And that's an advice I would really, really give persons who are pregnant or are ready to have their babies, get home help from before. Make arrangement for that, and that will help the situation.
Wow. Wow. Yes, that really tied into what you were saying, Dr. Ramos, that the emotional preparation is key. We may prepare for the physical things, the crib, the car seat, all several meals are frozen in the fridge. My sister is going to come over, but are you ready mentally and emotionally? I'm here taking notes myself to ensure that I prioritize that. But with that said, and she's also a medical practitioner, so she should have known. But the reality is, when you're in the situation and you're living it, you are just trying to go through the motions and thinking you can always be superwoman. But this is really a heavy task that you have undertaken. So, what advice can we give to families? And I would have to say advice, because I was going to say how can we, but what advice should we give to families and churches to move beyond celebration alone? You always see the gender reveals and all the gifts at the shower and all of those kinds of things, but it's like a marriage, after the wedding, the real life begins. So after the child is born, practical support will be needed. What kind of advice can you give to families, churches, and communities to move beyond just celebrating a
I'd like
birth?
to mention that we should bring back the village.
Mm.
The birth traditionally was done with generations around. You used to have a compound and grandma was nearby, and then, or even great grandma would have been nearby as well, and you have aunts would have been nearby. And so people rallied around a mother because giving birth is a sacred thing, it's a holy thing, it's a hard thing, and it requires support. The mother requires support and the baby requires support. The father also requires support. The whole family requires support in order to adjust to the newness of this life. And that baby takes absolutely everything. So without replenishment, without the village, then what you're going to have is the depleting of limited resources, because there's lack of sleep, lack of time, lack of capacity, baby sucking all the time and sucking out all of your energy, because they're sucking. When they're not sucking, they're pooping, and they need to be cleaned, and then they're screaming and they're crying, and they don't want to quiet down, because then they have started having gas, and then they will all sorts of different things. And so bringing back the village is a critical thing, and we should not wait for mothers to ask for help, but we should be ready and prepped to know that once a woman is giving birth or has given birth, that we need to extend ourselves. So just come with dishes, come with food, come with spending some time, and while you're there, just say, I'll go take a nap, I'll watch the baby for an hour or two. Oh my goodness, go and take a shower. Go and take a shower. Go put on some clothes. Comb your hair, feel good. Those things matter.
I 110% agree with that, and want to say that one of the things I think the younger generation gets better than us is this self-care. And the ability to say, I'm not doing that. So for us to adopt that in a way where we advocate for ourselves and for the newborn and ask for help, and then from our friends and family and that village, don't wait for me to say I need help, because I'm never going to tell you
Yeah.
that I need help. Just do it. Just say, I'm taking your trash out. I'm washing your laundry. I'm washing your car. I don't know. I'm taking your other kids to wherever.
Right.
Don't ask for permission. Ask for forgiveness and just do it.
Indeed. Indeed. All right. Thank you so very much for that. I'm going to go straight into, we have a second voice note, guys. So let's hear what this listener had to say.
Good evening, everyone. As you're talking now, I remember when my daughter had baby and at the Jubilee Hospital. I'm so glad when I see my daughter come through. And my daughter told me when when she was having the baby, a nurse was looking after her, and she said she touched the nurse hand, and the nurse said, "Take your filthy hand off of me." It made me one time don't love nurse again. Yeah, that my daughter tell me. So the nurse said, "Take your filthy hand off me." Hey, man, have mercy on nurse. You never hear a doctor do that. Yeah, me say I want to come on my eye when my daughter tell me when nurse say, yeah. And she was going to do nursing, and she said she not bother.
Wow. That's a very harsh reality, and it has to be said even on a program like this, to challenge a lot of our health practitioners to be more compassionate. We've heard many cases at a particular hospital, the famous hospital that is written on most Jamaicans' birth certificates, right? We won't call any names, but you all know once you're in Jamaica, Dr. Ramos, I'm sure Dr. Kataya can tell you which hospital I'm referring to, but but a lot of rough experiences have been had, and it is so sad because to hear all the traumatic changes and adjustments that happen to a female's body psychologically, emotionally, physically, it is even worse to be adding physical treatment, negative treatment to all of the challenges that she's already having in her body. I want to thank you so much, ladies, for sharing. I don't think this episode was enough for us to truly unpack all that can be said about afterbirth, what that is in the fourth trimester. So I thank you so much again. We're heading into the final leg of the show. Here's food for thought, listeners. We love to say it take a village. The fourth trimester asks, is the village still there after the baby arrives? Thanks for being here with us. We hope today's conversation helps in shaping you and your homes. If you have a question of a personal nature or are concerned about a family or a friend, even a family member, we implore you to make contact with us. For more information on our services or for our counselors in Kingston and other parts of the island, contact our head office at 876-920-1034 or 876-926-8101 or 876-5798-690 and 876-2798-678. The last two numbers are also WhatsApp enabled. Note that for appointments and information on costs, you must call the offices. Otherwise, to keep up to date with what's happening with FLM and or programs, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Family Life Ministries FLMJA, and on Instagram at simply FLMJA. Before we leave you, here's our verse for this evening. Philippians 4:13. I can do all this through him who gives me strength. Another version would say, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Thanks to our special guests, Dr. Maya Clark Kataya, Dr. Jamil Nagtalon Ramos, and Carrie Heron. And of course, our show producer, Kathy Gale, always of a big up yourself, Derval Graham in studio for piloting us through this hour. And of course, you, our faithful listeners, always here on a Monday at 5:30 to listen to us here at Family Time. I'm Crystal. Have a blessed rest of the week.
What is salvation? A moment, a process, or a lifelong walk with God? Tuesday, January 27 on The Rock, join guests Riken Allen and Anderson Mohammed